Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about the Monday Night Football doubleheader of fun. We have the Chicago Bears go to Minnesota to battle the Vikings in an NFC North battle, while the later game at 8:30, the Atlanta Falcons head to Vegas for a little bit of a party, seeing how I have the final score there, to battle the Vegas Raiders. That kickoff is at 8:30 p.m. Both games are going to be fantastic. The two winners, I'll get to them at the end here. I have one to score 31 points, and I have the other one to score 28 points. It's kind of clear in an odd way. I know the NFL is rarely clear, or it rarely goes as we expect it to, but tonight might just be that night. For me and for all of you, it's how are we going to get to those points, meaning what players are going to score those touchdowns, which players are going to have those receptions and hang yardage, because again, if you're going to play rather than a single game slate video, when it's like a double header like this, I just make and build a lineup for the two game kind of deal here. So if that's what we're doing, and I assume you're going to be along for the ride here. Sucks to say, but we have to be dang near perfect. If, let's say, for the heck of it, we fade Justin Jefferson and he goes for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, well, you might as well go to bed, because there's no cash line to be had. So we have to be perfect with our running backs and our wide receivers in a way, at least get a majority of the yardage and touchdowns scored. And I think I have a good plan here tonight. But before we get to that, make sure you get to the website at fantasy6pack.net or find them on Twitter at fantasy6pack and look around, see what's shaking. This is the end of week 15. Therefore, your seasonal fantasy playoffs or championship run could be over. And if it is, that's a bummer. But you have us. You have me. It's the holiday season. The Christmas tree is out. You can hang around and you can ask for help. And I'll show you a good line of DFS and sports betting. But if you're still in it, that's fantastic. Godspeed. And I wish you all the championship wins in the world. When we look back at this game, as I said, Chicago at Minnesota, kickoff is at 8 p.m. there, over under 43.5 points. And then the later, 30 minutes later, we can have that multi-screen action. The Atlanta Falcons are in Vegas. That kicks off at 8:30. Over under is at 44 points. So, Chris, what are we doing, right? I built a handful of lines, and I said that yesterday, the Sunday night game. I did make lines. I did screenshot them, but I forgot to add them in the edit when I was, making the video. My apologies. I promise I won't leave you high and dry this time. The notes are there. No highlights, because every player that I've written down, that's my line. I don't want to say my favorite line or my best line, because in all these years playing DFS, when I talk like that, those lines are always toast and trash. So we'll move on. As I said, the first game, NFC North battle, the Chicago Bears in last place. The Minnesota Vikings, however, 11-2, and with a win tonight, they could match the Detroit Lions record. Granted, the Lions would still have the NFC North for the time being, but the Minnesota Vikings and the Lions are kind of headed down for all the marbles in week 18. We shall see. On the flip side, the NFC West, Vegas Raiders playing the NFC South, Atlanta Falcons, and Tampa Bay is, not secretly, but Tampa Bay has taken over that division by around 2 games. So Atlanta, every game is a must-win if they have any hope of playoff action. And the Vegas Raiders, they're toast. They're 2-11. They've been out of this thing for 6 weeks now. The Kansas City Chiefs are rolling as well. Let's dig into this game. So I'm going to be, if you don't mind, I'm going to be bouncing around from game to game as I have this idea of what I'm doing. So I built 2 lineups, and one I just swapped quarterbacks. The first one is Sam Darnold at quarterback, and that's a no-brainer tonight, given what other QBs are playing. Do we want to play with Kirk Cousins? Granted, I have the Atlanta Falcons to win. That's no secret, and hang 28 points. I think it's more of a Bijan Robinson game, which I'll get to. He's locked in this lineup as well. But when you look at Sam Darnold, Chicago Bears, 3rd overall against opposing quarterbacks. But Sam Darnold has been fantastic. He's been almost, robotic in a good way. And we're looking at 23 to 24 completions. I have Sam Darnold a lock for 300 plus passing yards and 2 touchdown passes. That could be the 2 touchdown passes. That could be like a minimum here. I have Minnesota to score 31 points. So you're looking at least 4 touchdowns. and then that little field goal there. So 3 touchdowns scored. It would be greedy to say Sam Darnold's going to be a part of all 3 of those. Well, in an odd way, he will be, but let's not talk philosophy. He's going to be directly responsible. How about that? For 2 touchdown passes, and he's going to move the chains. He'll have about 20 yards on the ground, and you got to love the idea of Jordan Addison and even Justin Jefferson. But the Chicago Bears first overall against opposing wide receivers. But Chris, does that matter when it's Justin Jefferson? No, not really. And my other quarterback, it's the quarterback on the opposite side of the field, Caleb Williams tonight in Minnesota. They're 11th overall against opposing quarterbacks. Caleb, the rookie, has been okay, right? He's still active and learning on the job, right? Feet to the fire. I have him 240 passing yards on around 21 completions, touchdown pass as well. And then I have him to hang around 30 yards on the ground, 4 to 5 carries. So to me, it's Sam Darnold, Caleb Williams. And again, if you wanted to get weird and get crazy and you want to play, anything that's going, Kirk Cousins would be, I won't even try and talk you out of that or into that. But hey, we all know what's going on. When we look at the running backs here, and again, I want you to be mindful of this. Every player that I'm mentioning here is all in the same line. Granted, you can't play 2 quarterbacks, but I was clear Sam Darnold's the starting quarterback tonight. So I've locked in 3 running backs, right? So that means 2 RB spots and my flex. It's Aaron Jones, it's DeAndre Swift, and it's Bijan Robinson. Granted, there's some high-end wide receivers, but I just cannot get away from the idea of Aaron Jones, Swift, and Bijan Robinson. When we look at Aaron Jones, the Chicago Bears 27th overall against opposing running backs, 15-16 carries, around 70 yards, plus 3 to 4 receptions for around 30 yards. So yes, I have Aaron Jones right there at 100 total all-purpose yards. As we go down the list, DeAndre Swift, I have him locked for a touchdown. If you want to add that in, you can write it down on a sticky note. I'll give you a second to get a pen, a pencil, crayon, whatever you're into, and a sticky note. As I said, Darnold, 2 touchdown passes. I didn't say Aaron Jones. DeAndre Swift locked in for a touchdown on around 16 to 17 carries, 65 to 70 yards, the touchdown, and 2 to 3 receptions for another 15 yards. So he'll fall just shy of 100 all-purpose yards in my projections at least, but it gets us over the hump with that touchdown, rushing touchdown more than likely. When we get to Bijan Robinson, he's an absolute must tonight, right? When you play, not a single game slate per se, but my advice goes for that too. But a 2-game slate like we have tonight, like I'm talking about, we have to, if Bijan Robinson isn't in your line, it could be a wash, right? If we're playing in a big GPP, you got Bijan Robinson in there and 65% of the field has Bijan as well. That's okay. That's a wash, so we have to be different elsewhere. So why even bother fading Bijan? Vegas, 22nd overall against opposing RBs, 20 to 21 carries, around 90 yards. He's locked in as for a touchdown in my book as well. 4 to 5 receptions, 30 yards. So you're looking at well over 100 all-purpose yards. Personally, I have him around 120. That's what the projections would say. 9 plus 3, that equals 12, obviously. So put a 0 at the end, and we're rolling. So far, Darnold, two touchdown passes. DeAndre Swift will score. So will Bijan Robinson. This is the part where it gets dicey, but it makes sense to me, and hopefully I'll kind of talk you into it to a certain extent. So we have to have at least 3 wide receivers if we're playing the 2-game slate. Flex spots in the single-game slate, you can go in any run you want to. But for me tonight, I have all 3 Chicago Bears wide receivers in my lineup. Well, Chris, if Sam Darnold's locked in as your favorite quarterback, why not put Caleb in there if you got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and the rookie Rome Odunze? Well, as I said, if I'm pivoting, which I have, to Caleb Williams at quarterback, it makes sense. But in my first initial gut reaction build, it was Sam, it was Jones, Swift, Bijan, and then, as I said, DJ Moore. And again, Minnesota's dead last, 32nd overall against opposing wide receivers. But Chris, if you have Minnesota to score 31 points, what are we doing with the Chicago Bears? I have them around 17 to 20 points, which only opens the door to about 2 touchdowns. And again, I'm not the end-all, be-all of anything, but what are the chances late in this game Chicago scores that 3rd touchdown? Fingers crossed. And what are the chances, I've already given out a touchdown to DeAndre Swift, so there's only 2. There's maybe 2 touchdowns left to go to the wide receivers. It's okay. the yardage totals, hold up in an odd way. I have DJ Moore, 8-9 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, 70 yards. Keenan Allen, 4 to 5 receptions, around 60 yards. And Rome, around 4 to 5 receptions for 60 yards. So you're looking at 120 plus, so almost just shy of 200 total receiving yards we can split between these three wide receivers, and their price tags are all conducive to what we're doing. 6'6" on FanDuel for DJ Moore. Keenan Allen is 6'3". Rome is only $6,000, and then on FanDuel they're all on, or excuse me, DraftKings, they're all under $6,000. My wild card, or if you want to pivot in a way, you don't want let's say DJ Moore or Keenan Allen, you can put in Jordan Addison. I have Addison 4 to 5 receptions, 75 to 80 yards, and we'll move on from there. I will mention Justin Jefferson. He was not in my first initial build, but when I started crunching some numbers, I think Justin Jefferson is an absolute lock for at least 100 receiving yards and a touchdown. It's just so tough to find a spot for him on FanDuel. At least he's 9.5 over there, and you hate to say this is how talented Justin Jefferson is. Well, I have three Chicago Bears wide receivers, to kind of, combat Justin Jefferson, in his total yardage. But if you can figure out a way, get Justin Jefferson in there at tight end. It's all about Kyle Pitts for me tonight, which is strange given the fact Brock Bowers is on this slate as well. But let me talk about Kyle Pitts briefly. The Vegas Raiders dead last, 32nd against opposing tight ends, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 45, maybe 50 yards. Very ambitious, but hey, that's what we're doing. And Brock Bowers, you look at his price tag, 7-8 on FanDuel, 6-6 on DK, where Pitts is only his price tag is just so much cheaper. And granted, the targets are not even in the ballpark of both players. But when you look at the ownership percentage for Brock Bowers, single game slates, and even on this little 2-gamer, we need to find a way to put in players that we firmly believe are going to be there getting the receptions, getting the yardage, and DVP is a nice way to put that. So not saying at all fading Brock Bowers or Justin Jefferson, but I'm saying that I think I found a way around it, if it makes sense, giving team implied point totals, given the DVP, given the opposing quarterbacks and things along those lines. So to me, it's Kyle Pitts, and then at defense, we have to lock a defense in on a two-game slate, 4 teams. It's going to be the Atlanta Falcons. That's nothing crazy, nothing spooky. They're 3 to 4 sacks, which is solid, an interception and a fumble recovery, and their points against. I only have them giving up around 17, total points against the Vegas Raiders. So, and one more wild card if you want to, and you might be shocked, Chris, this whole video, we're coming up on 13 minutes, you didn't mention Sincere McCormick. And the Falcons, 7th overall against opposing running backs, and he's as cheap as it gets at the running back position compared to Aaron Jones, Swift, and Bijan. And I have Sincere around 11, 12 carries, 55 to 60 yards, 2 to 3 receptions for another 10 to 15 yards. So there's potential to have 75 to 80 all-purpose yards. But what are the chances at a certain point in this game? I have Atlanta to win 28-17, and Alexander Mattinson, even the head coach said Alexander Mattinson might be able to play. How quickly does Vegas just absolutely ditch the run, or if they don't ditch the run, how quick do they ditch Sincere McCormick? Again, this is all, nothing is set in stone, nothing's locked in, just the way my wild brain works. So give me the Chicago Bears to lose. I know it's an odd way to say that. I screwed myself there. Give me the Minnesota Vikings to win 31-17, go to 12-2. I would be fine taking the Vikes minus 10 points as well. And then on the flip side, give me the Atlanta Falcons to win 28-17, and I'd be fine with taking the Falcons minus 10, and we are ready to roll. Before we split, Chicago 7-3 against the spread, their last 10 games on Monday Night Football. Minnesota 1-5-1 against the spread, their last 7 games against an NFC North opponent. That's who they have tonight. And when you look at the Falcons, 5-0 straight up, their last 5 games against Vegas. And Vegas, however you want to slice it, 0-9, they're straight up their last 9 games. 1-4 against the spread, their last 5. It would be very much like the Vegas Raiders to win this one and crap on everything I've said and crap on all of our plans, but I don't see that happening. Minnesota wins 31-17, and give Give me the Falcons to win this one 28-17. Be good, be safe. Holiday season, get your shopping in, visit the website, and we'll do this all over again for Thursday Night Football. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.